Hello, everybody. Welcome to the History Shelf. I am your host, Peg, back here on BookTube, presenting a video of new arrivals. We have a ton of new history, nonfiction, some literature, or contemporary fiction, a bunch of new things that are either out right now, brand new, or soon to come out. I've had a lot of new things drop into my mailbox and on my front porch step, which has been delightful. Let's see. Sorry for the dearth of videos the last week or so, but last week was extremely busy, full of fun things, work things, tons of different health appointments, seeing doctor's appointments. Peg was a busy bee last week. Was really thrilled to attend my cousin's graduation down in Denver last week. It was a windy day, but it was a beautiful, sunny, warm day, and we had a lovely dinner. And two of my other cousins flew in to surprise her. My cousin who lives here, her sisters flew in, and I got to be reunited with all my gang, all my cousins, who are originally from Colorado, but two moved away. They are now in New Hampshire. So, and apparently I learned that they like to watch my channel. So shout out to you, Cass, Heather, and of course, Rach. What a thrill. And to the kiddos that apparently do watch and are interested in history, which I'm so thrilled for. So, Cade, you and I need to talk. We need to talk history. I'd like to know, what are your favorite, what have you read? What do you enjoy to read? What do you want to learn more about? And Grady and Savvy and Cora. We've got lots of things to talk about as you grow older. So, and I can send you books. So there's always that. So, without further ado, sit back, relax, pop an edible if you want. You know who I'm talking about there. And enjoy these new releases at the History Shelf. Okay. So, the other day, boy, do I get I think the dogs might photobomb this video. I'm not sure. Martine might let them into the room just to see what kind of antics ensue. But that's what the trusty pause button is for. Okay, so the other day, I got 3 books in the mail from Citadel Press, although it was mailed by Penguin Random House. So thank you, Random House, Penguin Random House, and Citadel Press. I got 3 advanced review copies. Now, we've seen Gangsters versus Nazis before on this channel. I think now this makes my 3rd copy. So I have 2 extra copies of Gangsters versus Nazis. If anyone's interested, please comment below, and I can maybe wing one off to you. I don't think I've seen anyone request it before. So, but yeah, so these are 3 books that are, well, this one's already out now, but it's an advanced reader copy. But if you don't mind having an advanced reader copy, let me know. How the Jewish Mobsters Battled Nazis in Wartime America by Michael Benson. Since I have covered this book twice before on this channel, I will not read the description there, but you get the gist. And then so then we have 2 other books that are coming out later this summer from Citadel Press. They look fantastic. Let's start with the first one that's coming out in order of release date. So June 28th. We have The Watchmakers, a story of brotherhood, survival, and hope amid the Holocaust by Harry Langa and Scott Langa. Citadel Press, all right. So let me go ahead and give you the synopsis on this. Harry Langa was born to a family of Hasidic Jews in Konitz, Poland. The proud sons of a watchmaker, Harry and his 2 brothers, Mileka and Moish, studied their father's trade at a young age. Upon the German invasion of Poland, when the Langa family was upended, Harry and his brothers never anticipated that the tools acquired from their father would be the key to their survival. Under the most devastating conditions imaginable, with death always imminent, fixing watches for the Germans in the ghettos and brutal slave labor camps of occupied Poland and Austria bought their lives over and over again. From Wollenau and Starachowice to Auschwitz and Ebensee, Harry, Milek, and Moish endured, bartered, worked, prayed, and lived to see liberation. derived from more than a decade of interviews with Harry Langa, conducted by his own son, Scott, and others. The Watchmakers is Harry's heartening and unflinchingly honest first-person account of his childhood, the lessons learned from his own father, his harrowing tribulations, and his inspiring life before, during, and after the war. It is a singular and vital story told from one generation to the next, and a profoundly moving tribute to brotherhood, fatherhood, family, and faith. So that sounds fantastic and very, inspiring, but there's just so much, there's been so much suffering in the world, and, in the wake of Buffalo, I must where my thoughts are right now, and just this crazy world we live in. Anyway, I'll keep going. I don't want to bum everyone out. Okay. So, and you're here for a distraction, and we're going to distract you a little bit with these books. So, next book is coming out July 26th. So this is The Scandalous Hamiltons by Bill Schaefer. Subtitle is A Gilded Age Grifter, a Founding Father's Disgraced Descendant, and a Trial at the Dawn of Tabloid Journalism. And Martine, of course, he pointed out the irony of the title of the book and the subtitle, the title sounding like, sensationalized tabloid journalism. Scandalous Hamiltons! Anyway, so this is coming out in late July. Let me give you a rundown on what this one's about. It was as unseemly as it was unfathomable and unpronounceable. The descendant of one of America's founding fathers had taken up with a con artist prostitute who duped him into marriage using an infant purchased from a baby farm. Within the year, she was sentenced to prison for stabbing the couple's baby nurse, all while in a common law marriage with another man. That part was italicized. The scandal surrounding Robert Ray Hamilton and Evangeline Brill was one of the sensations of the Gilded Age, a sordid, gripping tale involving bigamy, bribery, sex, and violence. When this salacious Hamilton story emerged during Eva's trial for the August 1889 stabbing, it commanded unprecedented national and international newspaper coverage, thanks to the Telegraph and the recently founded Associated Press. For the New York dailies, eager to capture readers through provocative headlines, Ray and Eva were a godsend, their trial helping to birth a new era of sensational journalism. The public's fascination with the case grew with each new lurid detail. How did a man of Hamilton's stature fall from grace over such a woman? It has happened many times before, my friends. Infamous investigative reporter Nellie Bly's exclusive post-conviction interview with Eva fanned the flames of notoriety. Hamilton's death under mysterious circumstances a year after the stabbing added to the intrigue. Through personal correspondence, court records, and sensational newspaper accounts, The Scandalous Hamiltons explores not only the full riveting saga of ill-fated Ray and Eva, but the rise of tabloid journalism and celebrity, in a story that is both a fascinating slice of pop culture and a timeless tale of ambition, greed, and obsession. So, Scandalous Hamiltons, coming to you from Citadel Press, July 28th. Yeah, this should be kind of a fun, breezy read. Looking forward to that. Alrighty. Let's see, what do we have next here? Okay. And I was contacted to see if I would like to have, I think I have this book. I think I've read it, actually, a while ago, a long time ago. But they're re-releasing it with a new chapter. They're releasing it in paperback. And it was a great book. I remember I did read this. So I'm going to be happy to reread it and see what the new chapter is about. But this is from the good folks at Henry Holt Publishing. And I said, yes, please. I will love to take a look at this and reread this. This is In Harm's Way. I'm sure many of you have heard of it or read it. The Sinking of the USS Indianapolis and the Extraordinary Story of Its Survivors by Doug Stanton. And this is they've re-released it in a new paperback version with a new chapter by the author. As Lee Child says, always a classic and now even better. I'm trying to remember when the first one came out. Yeah, it's been out for a while. I think 2001 or something. So let's see what this new version has for us here. And if you haven't read it, I highly recommend it. I know there's a more recent book about the Indianapolis, which I do have. I haven't gotten to yet, but this one I think kind of sets the bar for studies on the Indianapolis. It's mind-blowingly good and also haunting and visceral and disturbing, and also with the aftermath too. It was very heartbreaking. So I would highly recommend that you start with this book if you're new to the topic. So on July 30th, 1945, the USS Indianapolis was torpedoed in the South Pacific by a Japanese submarine. An estimated 300 men were killed upon impact. Close to 900 sailors were cast into the Pacific Ocean, where they struggled to stay alive, battered by a savage sea and fighting off sharks, hypothermia, and dementia. By the time help arrived, nearly 4 days and nights later, all but 316 men had died. How did the Navy fail to realize the Indianapolis was missing? Why was the cruiser traveling unescorted in enemy waters? And how did these men manage to survive? Interweaving the stories of 3 survivors, the captain, the ship's doctor, who was amazing. What he did was amazing. And a young Marine, Doug Stanton has brought this astonishing human drama to life in a narrative that is at once immediate and timeless. The definitive account of this harrowing chapter of World War II history, now revised and updated with a new chapter that takes into account fresh facts after the shipwreck's discovery, very cool, in harm's way, is a classic tale of war, survival, and extraordinary courage. So I'm excited. It'll be hard for me to not want to just jump to that final updated chapter about, the discovery of the wreck and then what they found. But I'm going to reread it because this was just riveting stuff. You will really love this book. So this is out right now from Henry Holt Publishing. Thank you, good folks at Henry Holt. They also sent me another a copy of a book. I was looking. I looked at their catalog and I said, "Oh, no, I haven't. Somehow I missed this. I missed this copy or this release when it came out in last year. No, 2020. So it must have been throughout the madness of the pandemic that this title for me just kind of got lost. But it's something that I need to read with my interests on this topic. And you won't be surprised when I show you The Folly and the Glory, America, Russia, and Political Warfare, 1945 to 2020. Also particularly timely right now. This is by Tim Weiner, or Weiner. Okay. And what do we got here? So this is out. This is available right now. I think it's just recently been, freshly arrived as a paperback, as I should, released, whatever. Okay, sorry, it's been a long day. From the winner of the Pulitzer Prize and the National Book Award, an urgent and gripping account of the 75-year battle between the U.S. and Russia that led to the election and impeachment of an American president. America won the Cold War, but Russia is winning today. Okay, this was written before the Ukraine invasion, right? Vladimir Putin helped to put his chosen candidate in the White House with a covert campaign that continues to this moment. Putin's Russia has revived Soviet-era intelligence operations, gaining ever more potent information from and influence over the American people and government. Yet the United States has invested little power into its defense. This has put American democracy in peril. The Folly and the Glory is an urgent call to our leaders and citizens to understand the nature of political warfare and to change course before it's too late. So while the description is probably intentionally kind of vague, just kind of very kitchen sink, it just captures everything in it. I'm wondering what the argument. I'm hoping it's not just all about anti-Trump book. I kind of want some deep details into foreign affairs, and geopolitics between America and Russia. So I'm hoping it is more of just an overall, and for this size book, it won't be a really in-depth history of, our political warfare. But in any event, I'm looking forward to it, and I will report back if you so desire. I know I go through a lot of books here at the History Shelf, so sometimes if you guys, I have to make a list of all the books that you guys want me to cover, but so that's Henry Holt, Following the Glory by Tim Weiner. Okay. All right, what should I do next? Oh my goodness. Let's go to something theological, because I am a theological type of gal. As you know, I am a Christian, and I like to study and learn about my own, not only other religions, but my own as well. I study, I read, I do the, go into as much detail as I can, and I want to know everything about, the church fathers and dogmatics and systematic theology. I eat up all this nerdy stuff, so anyway. But a great publisher that I've shown a few books on this channel already is Eardmans. Eardmans Publishing. It's Eerdmans. Eardmans. And that's a sort of trademark. But this is a new release, and I'm just very intrigued by it. Just came out this year. So this is Gaslighted by God. Reconstructing a Disillusioned Faith by Tiffany Yeck Brooks. So I enjoy reading also spiritual memoirs and autobiographies, people's experiences of their walking in their own faith, whatever faith tradition that is. So let me read to you a little bit about this one. What happens when the God we've been taught to believe in seems powerless to help us in the struggles of life? What do we do when the God we personally encounter no longer resembles the God we've been shown in narrow interpretations of the Bible? Many of those raised in the world of fundamentalist Christianity have been manipulated into accepting a false reality that runs counter to lived experience. The result is confusion, isolation, fear, shame, and trauma, often carried throughout one's entire life. This book is for the victims of this spiritual abuse, anyone looking to reclaim their faith from legalism, nationalism, sexism, anxiety, intolerance, and other mechanisms of control utilized by the self-appointed gatekeepers of God. It's for anyone who has learned that the real God is infinitely complex, that authentic faith is perfectly compatible with doubt, and that our suffering is not something we've earned. Gaslighted by God is not a book of easy answers. It's a companion for those mourning the loss of a belief system who need their pain recognized and legitimized. Tiffany Yeck Brooks shows, through stories from her own life, conversations with Christians from a variety of backgrounds, historical anecdotes, and messy episodes from Scripture, that there can be faith after disillusionment. But it will be a different faith, bruised, battered, nuanced, and real, rather than one wrapped in tissue-thin platitudes and three-point sermons. It will be a faith empowered to see beyond who God should be to who God is. Doesn't that sound like just a cool, fresh glass of water? In all my different readings and studies and my experiences in churches and out of churches and different types of fellowship, and just the different types of debates and, within the church, not Catholic church, but just within the body, of believers. This is just something I really want to read. I just want to be set free from some of the, how can I say it? Well, hypocrisy that I see a lot of Christians, and especially, established organizations have, and some of the a lot of the corruption that we've seen, and bad, dealing in bad faith, and I don't know. I want my experience of God pure, and I want it scripturally based, and I just don't want the rest of the tension and the barriers and roadblocks that people throw up a lot, that I see make other people stumble in their journey towards faith and toward a personal relationship with God. So a book like this, not only is it going to be refreshing and just a balm for my soul, I think, but I think this could help a lot of other folks as well. So Gaslighted by God by Eardmans Publishing. It's brand new, out right now. Beautiful little hardcover. So I'm looking forward to starting this one probably in the next, I'm going to say, I've got a couple of deadlines. So maybe next week I'm going to put this on the bedside table. Okay, so we move from religion and theology, if you're still with me, to, I don't even know how to make this transition, okay. All right. This is going to be a book of maybe biography, nonfiction, a little bit of history. It's a very interesting story, and I had never heard of it. And it's from Echo Books, brand new, out right now. This is Scoundrel. How a convicted murderer persuaded the women who loved him, the conservative establishment, and the courts to set him free, by Sarah Weinman. And if you recognize this type of cover right here, if you know, can you guess who this gentleman is right here with his back turned? Yeah. This is really why I want to read it. It's William F. Buckley Jr. Who I really enjoyed. I thought he was a witty, highly intellectual, intelligent guy. And I know Robin Williams used to do a really dead-on impression of him on Firing Line, but I enjoyed listening to the man. Anyway, so let's learn about this scoundrel that fooled everyone, including WFB. In the 1960s, Edgar Smith, while on New Jersey's death row for the murder of teenager Victoria Zelinsky, struck up a correspondence with William F. Buckley Jr., the founder of National Review. Buckley, who refused to believe that a man who supported the conservative movement could have committed such a heinous crime. I can hear everyone groaning out there. I understand. I understand. So he began to advocate not only for Smith's life to be spared, but also for his sentence to be overturned. So begins a bizarre and tragic tale of mid-century America. Sarah Weinman's Scoundrel leads us through the twists of fate and fortune that brought Smith to freedom, book deals, fame, and eventually to attempting murder again. Oy. In Smith, Weinman has uncovered a psychopath who slipped his way into public acclaim and acceptance before crashing down to earth once again. From the people Smith deceived, Buckley, the book editor who published his work, friends from back home, and the women who loved him, among others, to Americans who were willing to buy into his lies, Weinman explores who in our world is accorded innocence and how the public becomes complicit in the stories we tell one another. Scoundrel shows, with clear eyes and sympathy for all those who entered Smith's orbit, how and why he was able to manipulate, obfuscate, and make a mockery of both well-meaning people and the American criminal justice system. It tells a forgotten part of American history at the nexus of justice, prison reform, and civil rights, and exposes how one man's ill-conceived plan to set another man free came at the great expense of Edgar Smith's victims. So that's going to be, you see, I balance my reading. I like Buckley, but this is not going to be very, laudatory of him in this case. He got bamboozled and did a bad thing. So, Scoundrel. Talk about scandalous Hamiltons, right? Look at this kind of like tabloid journalism cover, but it's this will be interesting. So, a little known facet of history that I had never heard about, and you know me, when I hear about something I don't know about, I want to learn about it. So, thank you, Echo Books. Let me know again in the comments what you might like for me to report back on. Let's skip over to Yale University Press. This is a brand new book. Well, let me see. It's very recent. No, it was, okay, no, it's from this year at Yale University Press. I've read tons of books about bin Laden and Al Qaeda. I mean, ever since 2001, I have researched and read a ton of books on this topic. But this one looks to be like it has something new to say. And I really wanted to get my hands on it and take a look. So thank you, Yale University Press. This is the Bin Laden Papers. How the Abbottabad raid of the, it's Abbottabad. The Abbottabad raid revealed the truth about Al Qaeda, its leader, and his family by Nellie Lahoud. Yale University Press, brand new book. So I'm going to give you the rundown here. Osama bin Laden's greatest fear was not capture or death, but the discovery of Al Qaeda's secrets. At great risk to themselves and the entire mission, the U.S. Special Operations Forces, who carried out the Abbottabad raid that killed bin Laden, took an additional 18 minutes to collect bin Laden's hard drives and thereby expose the truth about Al Qaeda. In this groundbreaking book, Nellie Lahoud dives into bin Laden's files and sifts through nearly 6,000 Arabic pages of private communications. Holy jeez. Al Qaeda's closely guarded plans, ambitions, and frustrations are laid bare, and misconceptions about its role in international terrorism are shattered. Lahoud reveals how bin Laden communicated with his associates, his plans for future attacks, and Al Qaeda's surprising hostility toward countries such as Saudi Arabia, Iran, and Pakistan. She sheds new light, too, on bin Laden's family and relates the unknown story of how his wives and daughters actively contributed to his political output. In the Bin Laden Papers, Lahoud presents first-hand accounts of Al Qaeda as told through bin Laden's own words and those of his family and closest associates, revealing a starkly different story from the one we thought we knew. And that is why I wanted to read this. It has something new to say. I remember in Zero Dark 30, they kind of show how those guys, after they took out OBL, they just pillaged and, not pillaged, but they basically were looking for anything, crashing through those hard drives, ripping out SIM cards, ripping out, flash drives, CD, whatever, DV, whatever, everything that was stored. They tried to take as much as they could. As the village was waking up and running down the street to stop them. Not that I think they could have, but anyway, so that was a pretty dramatic moment. So anyway, the Bin Laden Papers by Nellie Lahoud from Yale University Press. Check that out. So I think, because we're coming up on the 30-minute mark, I've got 3 more books to show you in this video at least, and 2 are fiction, and I'll save those last. But this is a book that might cause a little bit of, well, it may not. I've got a very, even-keeled audience out there, and you're not easily bothered by things. Right. I wanted to read this book. And I was, Regnery Gateway was kind enough to send me a review copy. It's a slim little volume, so if you want my thoughts on it, I plan on reading this, and if it stands out to me, I'm going to talk about it. But I know people will think it odd that I have such a concern, not a concern, but I've always been interested in this aspect. And it's about manhood, and about, whoa. Hello. My phone just made a noise. This is a new book by Anthony Esolen. This is No Apologies. Why Civilization Depends on the Strength of Men. Okay. It's a slim little volume. Brand new. Out right now. I'm gonna hold this. I'm gonna read from the published sheet here. All right. So get ready. All you feminists out there. It's okay. It's fine. It's time to end the apology tour for traditional masculinity. A generation of young men and boys are being raised in self-loathing, taught that the core of their identity as men is not only abhorrent, but the fountainhead of humanity's ills. Veteran author and professor Dr. Anthony Esolen issues a powerful defense of the virtues of masculine strength in his latest book, No Apologies. Why civilization depends on the strength of men. From the thankless brute force that erected buildings, paved roads, and cleared ground, to the boundless energy of youth that compelled centuries of global exploration, to the father's embodied authority as protector, director, and exemplar of law and justice, Dr. Esolen shows how civilization has rested upon the strength of men. No Apologies reveals the need for strong masculine leaders in our society, including why the physical and psychological differences between men and women are good, and the attempt to make women as good as a man, and that's in quotes, as good as a man, inhibits God's plan for both sexes. This is going to make a lot of people angry, but it's all right. Yeah, you know what? You can read things. And if you don't agree, say you don't agree. Shunt it to the side. How the term toxic masculinity has diminished true manhood and confused society. Why patriarchy is a victory over male domination and male irresponsibility. Now, that'll be an interesting argument to make. I'd be curious to see how he goes about doing that. How the true masculine vision inspires men to better themselves to protect their families, their country, and their faith. Wise, accessible, and powerfully articulated, No Apologies draws on 2 millennia of historical thought, citing giants like Plato, Augustine, Aquinas, Twain, Solzhenitsyn, and others in a vigorous and timely defense of the masculine ethos. Actually, let me see. You know what? I got a finished copy. But I think it is out now. Or it will be very shortly, like any day now. It's a very slim volume, so it's probably more of just a treatise, you know. What can I say? Be curious to know what you guys are thinking already on this one. I've said before in this channel, and I'm not afraid to say it again, you know, I think that each sex brings to the table valuable virtues. And each sex can also bring destructive vices or faults. Okay? So I just don't think, you know, one is worse than the other. You know, and I think it's important, especially with people who have children and are raising young boys. You know, it's ideally, in an ideal world, you would raise both sexes with a sense of, you know, freedom to make your own decisions and to support them in their desires, but to also just recognize that boys will be boys and girls will be girls. And I'm just leaving it at there. I'm not going to get into a huge political debate. And here comes Martine to crash the party.
I knew I would.
She's crashing it.
I'm crashing it.
She probably would have something to say about this book.
What are we doing?
Oh, shit.
No, carry on.
All right. So anyway, I just think that there's a place for the virtues of each sex, and in this one it says that you know, men have done good things. Why can't we say that? Anyway, so No Apologies from Regnery Gateway. I'm really pleased to take a look at this book. Okay, if I haven't pissed off too many people, moving on to fiction. Ooh, and I'm going to say, maybe I should do this guy right next. Let's just get this one over with. This is a French writer, and I've been meaning to read at least a few of his books, and I have several of his books, and I need to make time to read them. But when I saw this, I kind of wanted to go on I think you pronounce his name Houellebecq, like Michel Houellebecq, reading. Not a frenzy, but I do want to read some of his books this summer. So Michel Houellebecq has a new book coming out. For all of you Houellebecq fans, Houellebecq, it says came out in April, but I got an uncorrected proof, so I'm happy to have it. Brand new book. Interventions 2020 by Michelle Houellebecq. Put out by Polity Books. All right. So what is this a book about? What is this novel about? Okay, so it's not a novel. I take that back. I thought it was a novel. Well, okay, so it's not a novel. It's a collection of essays and letters. So this is even better for me because I much prefer collections of essays or nonfiction and history, obviously, than to novels. But I am going to be reading Houellebecq's novels this summer, at least a couple of them. So what is Interventions 2020 about? Which makes sense because that is not a great name for a fiction book. So sorry, Polity. Okay, so this one is, let's just start off with this. The Death of God in the West was the prelude to a formidable metaphysical soap opera, which, according to Michelle Houellebecq, continues to this day. Christianity's masterstroke was to combine a fierce belief in the individual with the promise of eternal participation in absolute being. That's capitalized. When that dream failed, various attempts were made to offer the individual a minimum of being. The latest of these attempts is advertising, which aims to arouse desire and transform the subject into an obedient phantom of becoming. But like all previous attempts, this skin-deep, superficial participation in the world fails, and unhappiness and depression continue to spread. However, we can all produce a cold revolution in ourselves by stepping outside the flow of information and advertising. We just need to take some time out, unplug the television, turn off our iPhones, stop buying stuff, stop wanting to buy stuff, temporarily detach ourselves, and adopt an aesthetic position in relation to the world. We literally just need to stay still for a few seconds. And this collection of texts and interviews that stretch over 3 decades, from 1992 to 2020, Michelle Houellebecq explains and elaborates his point of view, discusses his novels, and addresses a wide range of topics from politics, religion, and literature to suicide, euthanasia, and pedophilia. Okay. An indispensable book for anyone interested in the work of one of the most widely read and controversial novelists of our time. All right, so interviews, some letters, some essays, this kind of stuff. So this might be actually a really good companion piece as I'm reading a couple of his novels. I think I want to read Submission and I want to read The Elementary Particles this summer. So kind of getting an insight into the man's philosophy on his novels and stuff. This will be helpful. So this is out now for all of you Houellebecq fans. Houellebecq, okay. Interventions 2020 from Polity Books. All right, now we are ending with a novel, and I think this is out. Oh, wow, okay. Well, this is not out for a long time yet. But I have an advanced copy. It's from Other Press, and this is The Confessions of Matthew Strong by Ousmane K. Power Green. Sorry for the glare. The Confessions of Matthew Strong. This comes out in October of this year, October 11th. So we've got quite a bit of time on this. This is a wildly original, incendiary story about race, redemption, the dangerous imbalances that continue to destabilize society, and speaking out for what's right. One could argue the story begins the night Allegra Douglas is awarded Distinguished Chair in Philosophy at her top-tier university in New York, the same night her grandmother dies. Or before that, the day Allie left Birmingham and never looked back. Or even before that, the day her mother disappeared. But for our purposes, Allie's story begins at the end, when she is finally ready to tell her version of what happened with a white supremacist named Matthew Strong. From the beginning, Allie had the clues in a spate of possibly connected disappearances of other young black women, in a series of recently restored plantation homes, in letters outlining an uprising, in maps of slave trade routes and old estates, in hidden caves and buried tunnels, and finally, in a confessional that should never have existed. They just have to make a case strong enough for the FBI and police to listen. This is when Allie herself disappears. Allie is a survivor. She survived the newly post-Jim Crow South. She survived cancer, and she will survive being stalked and kidnapped by Matthew Strong, who seeks to ignite a revolution. This... I'm just blown away lately, and I don't mean to use that phrase, but I'm just completely befuddled by how life is imitating art, art imitating life, whatever. It's just crazy that this book is... Okay. The surprise in this doesn't lie in the question of will she be taken. It lies in how she and her community outsmart a tactical madman. So it sounds like a fantastic novel. I'm not quite ready to read it yet. It comes out in October. I hope to get a finished copy in case there are any... She might be able to make changes at this point. I don't really know, you know, how far along they are in that process. But it sounds like a really good novel. But in light of certain events and recent events, I can't tackle that topic right now. It's just too depressing. So, guys, what do you think of these books? I got quite a few here, and I've got a few more down here to show you. I will be back with more books to show you. I have recently acquired a few more from my History Book Club. As you know, I am a member of the History Book Club, and I do pay for credits every month so that I can, you know, pick up some of the newer releases. And I've got about 4 more that I want to show you. So, yeah, there's that. Let me know what you think of these books. Let me know if you'd like a copy, an uncorrected advanced review copy of Gangsters versus Nazis, and I'll see how quickly I can get it out to you. I am just been really, you've heard me say it before, busy, but I definitely can make time to hit up the post office to send you something. So, all right, guys, until next time, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for all of your love and comments. And until next time at the History Shelf, ciao.